am Dr. V. Shubhamadi, working as an Associate Professor, Department of Management Studies, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. Course code P20MBM-C08 Financial Management. In this session, we are going to discuss about capital budgeting. Capital budgeting is a long-term investment for the organization. With this investment, that organization should get some profit. For that, capital budgeting is required for every organization. So what is the definition? Capital budgeting is the long-term planning for making and the financing proposed capital outlay. So as per Charles T. Hungren, he described and he given a definition for the capital budgeting is a long-term planning for making and financial proposed capital outlay. So where the company should invest to get the returns. So that is called as capital budgeting. And capital budgeting consists in planning for development of available capital for the purpose of maximizing the long-term profitability of the firm. So this is again a planning for development of the available capital. So that is just a planning to get and to think that what all the available capitals are there and where we have to invest that money to get the returns. So this is developed by R.M. Lynch. It is the process of evaluating and selecting long-term investment that are consistent with the goal of shareholders' wealth maximization. So if companies invested company's money in a proper way, company will get benefit. With that benefit, shareholders will get benefit. So with that, wealth maximization will be happening automatically for the organization. Process of capital budgeting. How the process should be taken care. So first one, identification of the various investment, screening or matching the available resources, evaluation of proposals, fixing property, final approval, implementation. So first thing, what are the various investments are there that investments should identify. That is the first step. Second one, screening and matching the available resources. What money we are having. With that money, we have to choose the investment. That is the second step. Third one, evaluation of the proposal. Whether that proposal is good or bad. Whether that is giving the maximum returns or not. That is the third step, evaluation of proposal. Fourth one, fixing the property. This is the property I am going to buy. This is the property where I am going to invest my money. And final approval and implementation. So this is a basic process of the capital budgeting. Importance of capital budgeting. Why a company should investing into the long-term investment. So what is the importance? So first one, cost. Initial investment is substantial. Hence, commitment of resources should be made properly. Time. The effect of decision is known only in the near future and not immediately. Irreversibility. Decisions are irreversible and commitment should be made on proper evaluation. Complexity. Decisions are based on forecasting of future events and inflows. Quantification of future events involves application of statistical and probabilistic techniques. Careful judgment and application of mind is necessary. So cost, time, irreversibility, complexity. So these are all the main importance of the capital budgeting. So types of capital investment decisions. What are all the investment decisions are there? So based upon firm's existence or based on nature decisions. So based upon firm's existence, cost reduction decision, revenue expansion decision. Again, cost reduction decision, replacement decision or modernization decision. Revenue expansion decision, expansion decision or diversification decision. Next one, based on nature's decision, mutually exclusive decision, accept or reject decision, contingent decision. So these are all the main types of capital investment decision. So cost reduction decision based on the firm's existence. So replacement. So now the maybe the machinery, maybe the furniture, land, building. So these are all the important one for the organization. If that type of things is making any problem in the organization, means so replacement decision, that is called as replacement decision. So that and all is very important for the organization, and that is giving the very long term investment. So that is called as replacement. Second one is modernization decision. So if one company is already using one machinery, that machinery is very slower processor, but advanced machinery is now in the market. So if we are investing into that new machinery for the organization, means definitely that is giving extra benefit. That is called as modernization decision. Revenue expansion decision. Expansion, that means if I am expanding my business to a long term way, that is expansion or diversification decision. So this is the based upon the firm's existence. Next one, based on nature's decision. Mutually exclusive decision. So mutually the company is taking the decision, that is called as mutually, and may accept or may reject. And contingent. So based upon the situation, the organization needs to take the decision. That is called as contingent decision. So these are all the types of capital investment decision. Identifying the relevant cash flows. It refers to the incremental cash flows arising from each project. Elements of cash flow stream. First one, initial investment, operating cash inflows, terminal cash inflows. So initial investment, it is the after tax cash outlay on the capital expenditure and net working capital when the project is set up. Operating cash inflows, they are after tax cash inflows resulting from the operations of the project during its economic life. Terminal cash inflows, it is the after tax cash inflows resulting from the liquidation of the project at the end of its economic life. So these are all the identifying of the relevant cash inflows. Time horizon for cash inflow analysis. So first one, physical life of the plant. It refers to the period of the machinery or plant remains in physically usable condition, that is the number of years the plant would perform the function for which it had been acquired. So whether this machine is giving the 5 years of time or 10 years of time, because that is a long term investment. So definitely we have to think about the physical life of that plant. So that is time horizon. Technological life of the plant. It refers to the period of time for which the present plant would not be rendered obsolete by the new plant. So that is the second one. Third one, product market life of the plant. A plant may be physically usable, its technology may not be obsolete, but the market for its products may disappear or shrink, and hence its continuance may not be justified. Investment planning horizon of the firm. The time period for which a firm wishes to look ahead for the purpose of investment analysis may be referred to as its investment planning horizon. It is naturally tends to vary with the complexity and size of the investment. Guidelines for estimating the project cash inflows. Guidelines for estimating the project cash flows. So first one, identify incremental cash flows. The changes in cash flows that are attributable to the decision to invest in a given project. Focus on after tax flows. Cash flows relevant to capital budgeting are those generated by a project and still remaining after taxes. Consider a project untaxed revenues which gives benefit because the firm cannot invest all these funds in other projects or pay them out to the shareholders. Postpone considering financing cost. It is the payment that the company make to the parties supplying capital to finance the project, and it may include interest paid to lenders or dividends paid to shareholders. Biases in cash flow estimation. Biases means partiality. So, if the financial manager is giving some partiality or some biased cash flow estimation, means it is giving a very big loss to the organization. He has to give the equal chance and equal support to all the importances of the finance, because everything is important. But the organization, it should not be a biased one. Biases in cash flow estimation, but some items we should give the very much importance for that. Without that, there is no organization. In that situations, definitely this biases cash flow estimation is required. So first one, overstatement of profitability. Overstatement of profitability. Reason, intentional overstatement, lack of experience, myopic euphoria, capital rationing. Second one, understatement of profitability. Net salvage value of fixed assets plus net recovery of working capital margin. So reasons, salvage values are underestimated. Intangible benefits are ignored. Value of future options is overlooked. Capital budget techniques. Capital budgeting techniques. There are 3 steps are involved in the evaluation of an investment. First one, estimation of cash flows, estimation of the required rate of returns, application of a decision, rule for making the choice. So these are all the main 3 steps how to evaluate the investment. Cash flows, required rate of return. Third one is the application of decision rule. So these are all the 3 steps. Any appraisal method should provide for the following: distinguishing between the acceptable and non-acceptable projects, ranking of projects in order of their desirability, choosing among several alternatives, a criterion which is applicable to any conceivable project, recognizing the fact that bigger benefits are preferable to smaller ones and early benefits are preferable to later one. So any appraisal method should be provided for the following activity. So these are all the appraisal methods. We have to choose the best one. So methods of appraisal. How we want to evaluate the investment. So what is the methods of that? So there are 2 kinds are there. First one is non-discounted cash flow techniques and discounted cash flow techniques. So non-discounted cash flow techniques, payback method, ARR method, average rate of return method, payback profitability method, and discounted cash flow techniques, NPV, net present value method, IRR, internal rate of return method, profitability index method. So these are all the methods how to choose and how to evaluate the investment. And traditional and non-time value and non-discounted cash flow method. So first one is the payback method. So what is payback method? So it refers to the length of time which will required for the sum of annual net cash benefits to equal the initial investment. How to calculate the payback method? When an annual cash flows are equal to, that is payback period equal to initial investment divided by annual cash inflows. That is one. Second one, when annual inflows are unequal, then payback period equal to E plus B by C. E means number of years immediately preceding the year of recovery. B means balance of payment of invest to be recovered. C means savings, cash inflows during the year of final recovery. Discounted payback method. This method is also designed to overcome the limitation of the payback period method. Discounted payback period method. So that is E plus B by C. Reciprocal payback period method. This method helps to measure the expected rate of return of income generated by the project. So reciprocal payback period equal to annual cash inflows divided by total investments into 100. Average rate of return or accounting rate of return means average annual yield on the project. Calculation of ARR. ARR equal to average annual profit after tax divided by average investment in the project into 100. Average investment, it refers to the average annual quantum of funds that remains invested or blocked in the proposal over its economic life. So initial cash outlay as the average investment. Average annual book value after depreciation of the average investment. For the firms which are adopting method of depreciation other than the straight line method, find out the opening book values and the closing book values of the project for all the years of its economic life. Find out the average book values for all the years by taking this simple arithmetic mean of the opening and closing book values. Find out the average of all the yearly averages. This average will be the average investment of the proposal. For the firms which are adapting straight line method, the following shortcut methods can be used. Average investment equal to original investment plus installation expenses minus scrap value divided by 2 plus scrap value. Average investment equal to another one, original investment plus installation expenses minus scrap value by 2 plus scrap value plus additional working capital. Discounted cash flow techniques. So far we have seen the non-discounted cash flow techniques. So this is the discounting cash flow techniques. Discounting. Discounting is a reducing the value of future cash flows to make it directly comparable to the values at present. The rate at which the future cash flows are reduced to their present value is termed as discount rate. The technique that discounts the future value into them present value at the specified time value discount rate is called as discounting cash flow techniques. So discounting methods completely we are comparing the values at present. So we can take the best example of the insurances. So today we are paying, but after 15 years or after 20 years we can able to get the some value. What is the present value of that value? So that is the discounting. We are just comparing the value of the present. And the rate at which the future cash flows are reduced to their present value is termed as discounted rate. The technique that discounts are future, so that is also we have to think, right? Today I am receiving some amount, but tomorrow I need to pay this much amount. What would be the interest rate for that? So that is the technique that discounts the future value into the present value at a specified time value is called as DCF, discounting cash flow technique. So these are all the methods. NPV, net present value. Net present value, it is defined as the sum of the present value of all future cash inflows less the sum of the present values of all cash outflows associated with the proposals. How to calculate the NPV? Very simple one. NPV equal to discounted cash inflows less discounted cash outflows. Just we want to deduct it, cash inflows minus discounted cash outflows. That's it. We will get the NPV. Today's price, net present value, we will get. Cash outlays. What are the things will be there? Initial investment, special payments and outlays. For example, working capital outflow which arises in the year of commercial production. Tax paid on capital gain made by sale of old assets, if any. These are all called as the cash outlay or outflow. Cash inflow. Cash inflow is equal to profit after tax plus depreciation. That's it. So with this we have deducted from the cash outflows to cash inflows means we will get the NPV. Profitability index. Accept or reject criterion. So profitability index represents the amount obtained at the end of the project life. For every rupee invested in the project at the initial state, hence projects with PI greater than 1 are accepted and PI is less than 1 means that is rejected. So we will get the one value, and that value should get profitability index greater than 1. If it is more than 1 means that project is good one, that project we can able to accept. If it is giving less than 1 means we should not accept that project. So that is the PA is greater than 1 is accepted, PA less than 1 is rejected. So how to calculate that profitability index? So profitability index equal to total of discounted cash inflows divided by total of discounted cash outflows. So this is the formula for that. So cash inflows and cash outflows. So this is the same method for all these things. So cash outflows in this way we have to calculate. Inflows means profit after tax plus depreciation. What are the merits? So it considers the time value of money. It is better project evaluation technique than NPV. It focuses on maximum return per rupee of investment. These are all the merits. Demerits. There is a possibility of accepting several small projects which together may have a higher NPV than a single project excluded. So these are all the demerit. The total NPV is some case being more than the one with a project with the highest profitability index. Maybe sometimes because of that PI value we may choose a smallest project. So that is the demerit we are having for this profitability index. IRR method, very important method. So internal rate of return, it is the rate at which the sum total of discounted cash inflows equals the discounted cash outflows. Acceptable rules. So first, if IRR is greater than cutoff rate, that is cost of capital, then accepts the project. If IRR equal to cutoff rate, cost of capital, then the firm is indifferent, either accept or reject. If IRR is less than the cutoff rate, the cost of capital, then reject the project. Same thing like a PI, greater than, equal to, less than. Greater than means we can accept that project. If it is equal to means accept or reject, that is our choice. If it is less than means completely we should ignore that project. Merits. Time value of money is taken into account. All the cash inflows of the project arising at different points of the time are considered. Decisions are immediately taken by comparing IRR with the cost of capital. It helps in achieving the basic objective of maximization shareholders' wealth. So these are the merits we have, and some more demerits also there. So it is tedious to compare the case of the multiple cash outflows. Multiple IRRs may result leading to difficult in interpretation. So many IRR values are giving, so that sometimes it may give some confusions. Method of calculation. When cash inflows or savings are even for all the years, the factor to be located in the relevant annuity table 2 is calculated by using the following simple equation. So F equal to I plus C. F equal to I plus I by C. So F means factors to be located. I means original investment. C means cash inflows per year. So this is the just how to calculate the cash inflow saving or even for all the years. So F equal to I by C. When cash inflows or savings are not even. So first one is even, second one is not even. Cash inflows are to be discounted by a number of trial rates. So IRR equal to lower rate plus positive NPV divided by differences in calculated present value into difference in rate. So this is the general method how to calculate these values. Capital rationing. So definition for the capital rationing. Capital rationing refers to a situation where the firm is constrained for external or internal reasons to secure the necessary funds to invest in all profitable investment projects. Reasons for capital rationing: external factors and internal constraints. So external factors refers to the situations in the capital market. So based upon the situation, he is taking the some decisions to get the necessary funds to invest into the profitable investments. Internal constraints refers to investment restrictions imposed by firm itself. So first thing is external factors is affecting. So based upon the market situation, they cannot able to invest. Sometimes internal, so they are limiting with the capital amount. Because of that, they are not able to choose the best one. So that is the internal and external factors for the capital rationing. Selection process under capital rationing. Ranking projects on the basis of profitability measured by most suitable capital evaluation method. Selection projects in the descending order of profitability until the funds are exhausted. That is, the project with the highest rank has to be selected first, and then the project with the next highest rank, and so on. So this is the selection process. Inflation and capital budgeting, because once it is inflation is raised in the country, many of them will not go for investment. So inflation in that period, how the capital budgeting will take place. The expected average inflation over the life of the investment or security is usually added in the nominal interest rate by the issuer of security to cover the inflation risk. Inflation and cash flows is the first step which requires the estimation of cost and benefits of different proposals being considered for decision making. Is used to describe the cash oriented measures of return generated by a proposal. Effects of inflation on cash flows. There are two reasons are there. The rate is used for discounting cash flows is generally expressed in nominal terms. It would be inappropriate and inconsistent to use a nominal rate to discounted cash flows, which are not adjusted for the impact of inflation. Selling prices and cost show different degrees of responsiveness to inflation. Inflation and discount rate. Discount rate means the minimum requisite rate of return on funds committed to the project. It is primarily purpose of measuring the cost of capital. Its use as a financial standards for evaluating the investment projects. Implications of expected rate of inflation on the capital budgeting. First point, the company should raise the output price above the expected rate of inflation. If the company is unable to raise the output price, it can make some internal adjustments through careful management of working capital. With respect of discount rate, the adjustments should be made through capital structure. So capital structure means here based upon the debt plus equity. Capital mixture. So debt plus equity. So how much debt we should get and how much equity we should get to invest into that project if we are extending our business or if we are extending our company. Cost of capital. Definition. The cost of capital is the minimum required rate of return or cutoff rate for the allocation of capital to investment of project. It is the rate of return on a project that will leave unchanged the market price of the stock. Written by James C. Van Horn. Cost of capital may be defined as the rate of return the firm requires from its investments in order to increase the value of the firm in the marketplace. Concepts of cost of capital. Cost of capital is not a cost as such, the rate of return that is required on the projects available. It is the minimum rate of return. Capital represents the minimum rate of return that will result in at least maintaining the value of the equity shares. Components: return at zero risk level, the premium of business risk, the premium of financial risk. Factors affecting the cost of capital. First one, risk-free interest rate. The components are real interest rate, purchasing power premium. The real interest rate is the interest are payable to the lender for supplying the funds, or in other words for surrendering the funds for a particular period. Purchasing power risk premium. When a lender lends money, he in fact lends his present purchasing power in favor of the other party, that is borrower. Business risk. It is related to the response of the firm's earning before interest and tax to change in sales revenue. Financial risk. The particular composition and mixing of different sources of finance, known as financial plan or the capital structure, can affect the returns available to the investors. And other considerations, the investors may also like to add a premium with reference to other factors. And such factors may be liquidity or marketability of the investment. Types of cost: explicit cost and implicit cost. Different types of cost are we are just listing out the types of cost: explicit cost, implicit cost, future cost and historical cost, specific cost, combined cost, average cost, marginal cost. Problems involved in the determination of the cost of capital. So concept controversy regarding the relationship between the cost of capital and the capital structure, historic cost and future cost, problems in calculation of cost of equity, cost of retained earnings and assigning weights. Methods of calculating cost of capital. Cost of debt capital, cost of irredeemable debt and cost of redeemable debt, before tax and after tax. Cost of preference capital. So formula is preference dividend divided by net proceeds of issues, preference dividend plus RB minus net proceeds divided by N. So again RB plus net proceeds divided by N. Cost of equity. So dividend yield method or dividend price approach method. So formula is KE equal to D plus NP. So D means expected dividend per share, NP means net proceeds per share, KE means cost of equity capital. Calculation of cost of existing equity shares. So KE means D by MP. So expected dividend per share, MP means market price per share. Dividend yield plus growth in dividend method. When the dividend of the firm are expected to grow at a constant rate and the dividend payout ratio is constant, KE equal to D divided by NP plus G. So dividend per share divided by net proceeds plus growth. And some of the assumptions. This assumptions is based on the following assumptions. Expected dividends determine the market value of shares. The growth rate will be the constant over the period of time. Future earnings will grow at a constant rate. The market price is influenced only by variation in earnings. So earning yield method or earning price approach. The cost of equity capital is the discount rate that equates the present value expected future EPS with the net proceeds or current market price of the share. So KE equal to EPS divided by net proceeds. Weighted average cost of capital. So definition: weighted average cost of capital is the average cost of various sources of financing. Weighted average cost of capital is also known as composite cost of capital, overall cost of capital or average cost of capital. How to calculate that weighted average cost of capital? Equal to KE, that is cost of equity, WE plus KD, WD plus KP and WP. So all cost of equity capital, preference share capital, debt and proportion of the preference capital into capital structure. So some of the weights, historical or existing weights, marginal weights, target weights. Book value versus market value. So book value and market value will be there in everything, that is we have to consider. And once again I want to thank Bharat Institute of Higher Education for giving me this opportunity.